welcome back to Creepy Kitty Creations. Sorry it's been so long. I ended up taking an impromptu break due to some personal reasons. But it's great to be back, and I'm very excited to have this new doll to show you. As you all know, I love Visual Kei rock, a Japanese type of alternative rock band where they dress up in amazing clothes. And we'll also be having a craft room tour at the end of the video. So let's get started. So this is actually a Frankie head that I got a while ago. Some of you on Instagram might remember this concept drawing. She's had her hair tied back for almost a year. So I've got my references with me, and there are so many amazing Visual Kei artists on Instagram. I'll link all of these pictures below. They're just gorgeous and so amazing with makeup. I just love looking at them. So I was really nervous starting her eyes because I realized that I haven't done a face up in about 6 months. So it was really nerve-wracking getting back into it, and I kept stuffing up her other eye, so I'll just fast forward through all my erasing. I think I redid it about 3 times, but I got there in the end. And I'm not going to put off her eyebrows this time. It takes a while to get them right, but better not put off the inevitable. And always have the trusty kneaded eraser at hand. So basically this year has been a bit of a nightmare, honestly. It feels like it's been a year already rather than just a few months. A combination of learning how to be a book editor, book cover designer and formatter, and managing my health, which hasn't been that great this year. And to top it all off, we had some really major family drama that I won't really get into, but combined with the horrible New Zealand weather, it hasn't been very conducive to doll customizing, but it felt really good to be getting back into it, and I loved doing this face up. I love anything with bright eyeshadow or bright lips. So I had a lot of fun, and I'll try to be more regular with my videos, I promise. So I'm just going in with pastels to get the basic shapes of her lips and the basic color of her eyes. I try and do as much on one layer as I can because it's still pretty cold outside, so spraying Mr. Super Clear is still a bit of a gamble. It seems to be going okay if I bring the doll back inside after about 5 minutes of spraying and keep her near a window that isn't too cold, but I still don't want to risk the sealant not curing properly. So I'm going in with some turquoise eyeshadow as a base. I don't know about you or any other doll customizers, but I really enjoy using human makeup brushes for eyeshadow on dolls. It gets it nice and blended and fluffy. One thing I've noticed about a lot of Visual Kei makeup is that they use some really bright red under their eyes and on their cheeks, and I personally really love that look, so I wanted to replicate that here. Try to usually be quite light-handed with the shadows and contours of the nose, but from what I can see with a lot of Visual Kei makeup, they darken the area as a sort of decorative statement as part of the makeup look, so I wanted to try that as well. So for those of you not familiar with Visual Kei, it's a Japanese version of kind of like Western indie rock, where they play rock music but they dress up in costumes that are really bright, over the top, a bit garish but absolutely gorgeous. I wish I had the courage to wear those sorts of outfits, because they really do look just stunning. So for her eyeliner, I didn't want to go in with black, so I'm using a dark navy blue because that's what her natural, or the hair that she's already got, that's the colour that is. By the way, I got this head off AliExpress, so she doesn't have a body. I wasn't originally intending on giving her a body, but it just didn't seem right, so we'll give her a body as well. So I've sprayed it with Mr. Super Clear, and I'm going back in, making some darker outlines and going in with some more pastels. It probably looks really repetitive, but to get the brightness of eyeshadow that I want, I end up needing to go over it quite a few times to get it to that kind of vibrance. It is a bit time consuming and again a bit tedious, but I think it's worth it in the end. I so enjoy doing bright makeup on dolls. And like any creepy kitty creation, she's going to have the white pearlettes on the inner corner of her eye and on the brighter segments of her skin. And I also used this copper pearlettes on her lips and on the red eyeshadow just to give it a little bit more depth and shimmer. And because I do many layers of pastels, I do need to go over and darken out the outlines again. The pearlettes wasn't really standing out so much, so I went back into the inner corners with some white pan pastel and watercolour pencils. And going in with some black pastels. I don't know why I'm trying to be so careful with the outline of the lips here and using the kneaded eraser, because I'm going for a grunge look, and a lot of Visual Kei makeup artists actually go over their lip line and make it kind of look like they've got smudged lipstick, kind of like these ones here. I personally really like this look and I was looking forward to trying it, so again I don't know why I was being so careful earlier. And it was about here that I realised I hadn't done any contouring or shading around her head, so I'm going in and doing that now. So one good thing that did happen this year is I got to have my own craft room, so that took a long time to get ready and was another reason why customizing was quite difficult, because I couldn't access any of my materials, but it's all up and running now and I'm very excited to show you how it's looking at the end of the video. But that's why you might see a few background changes throughout the video, because I'm still getting, it's actually the first time I've used this setup, so I'm still getting used to it. So now I'm just further defining the black eyeliner. And another element that I like about Visual Kei with doll face-ups is because a lot of the looks, some of them are very precise, but I quite like the grunge ones, so if some pastels smudge or end up looking a little bit grungy, it actually helps enhance the look rather than being something you have to try and fix. So I do quite enjoy that element. It eases my anxiety a little bit because you just feel a bit more free. You don't have this one less thing to worry about, and you can just focus on expressing the makeup look how you want. So by this stage I thought she was looking a little bit too much like Lumi, my Visual Kei mermaid. So I thought what might make her look a little bit creepier is having the whites of her eyes black. I've seen quite a few people wearing contact lenses like this and they just look so cool. If you wonder why the head goes up and out of view, that's just me blowing off the some of the pastel dust. So now it's had another coat of Mr. Super Clear so that I can go in with some wet watercolor pencils. Usually by this stage I always wonder if I even need to do this step, because everything at the time looks quite vibrant, and then it's only after I've done it that I'm sort of like, yes, you do need to do this step. It really makes a huge difference. And I find it easier than using acrylic paint. But it just makes everything darker and crisper, more vibrant. So as far as outlining, and especially since I'm doing the inside of the eyes black, this step was definitely crucial. And just making some stronger highlights with a wet paintbrush and white watercolor pencil, and then going back in with a little bit more black pastel just because I did want everything a little bit darker. And I also need to shade the eyes a little bit at the top. That actually makes a huge difference. But first I'm going in with a wet watercolor pencil and then in navy and making that eyeliner a bit crisper. I really like seeing people use decorative eyeliner in real life, especially on the inner corner of their eye, using sharp angles, triangles and crisp lines, so I wanted to try that a little bit with the inner corner of her eyes. It was really tricky to get a crisp line and the right angle though, especially because her hair is kind of stacked up a bit like Marge Simpson, so it kept getting in the way. So now I'm shading the top of the eyes a little bit, and yeah, it really does make a huge difference. That's just the first layer. I'll do about 2 more to make it even darker, and just going in with some white watercolor pencil and adding some highlights to her eyebrows. And adding some little dots and shimmer highlights along her waterline. I'm going in with another layer of black pastel over the top of her eyes just to make that shading nice and obvious. So that is her face up done. So now it's time to undo the hair burrito, and I was a wee bit disappointed because she had gorgeous curly hair before, and I think I've left it tied up for too long and a lot of those curls are gone, so I'm just going to try and style it in a way that's going to look best without having to comb through it, or God forbid have to cut it all off and make a wig for her, because it's really quite lovely synthetic hair. So I'm doing 2 braids on either side and sort of giving her a faux fringe just to keep that nice and tidy. And after a while I actually really started digging the volume in her. I wish I could have volume like this. And I love curly hair. I know it takes a lot of work. I've got wavy hair, but I really wish I did have curly hair because it just looks amazing. And I'm really liking the volume at the moment, especially with it sort of tucked away. So I'm going to take some synthetic hair. This one was kindly gifted to me by Of Crafts and Curios during our doll swap. So thank you, Of Crafts and Curios. I'm going to use this hair, this one's just as an example. I'm going to use my rerooting tool and stub it into her head to give her these little long bits. I've seen a lot of Visual Kei artists where they have sort of they've got their short hair in long braids, and it looks really cool. So it took ages to reroot because they kept getting tangled, and I braided them off camera, and this is what it turned out looking like. I'm very happy with it, and again, totally jealous of the volume of her hair. I wish I had that kind of volume. But yes, she definitely is missing something, and I think she is definitely going to have a body. So let's get started on the body. So this one is it's not a Frankie body, obviously, because I didn't have any spare. I only had this one, but I quite like how it contrasts against the green of the Frankie face. especially because a lot of Visual Kei makeup involves painting the face white or some kind of off shade. Some of them have them slightly purple. And here I tried to highlight her body and my brush was not dirty. It wasn't clean. So please don't be like Creepy Kitty. Be good and clean your brushes between the face and the body. I spent ages having to clean it and then had to wait for it to dry, which was a big pain, and it still looks a little bit dark and smudged. So now I'm going over all the joints with red because I really like the way this looks on body blushing. I see a lot of people do it with BJDs and other Monster High customs, so it's just something I've always liked doing. Didn't quite look finished, and I'm not a fan of making doll underwear out of fabric, so I just got some black acrylic paint and started painting over the built-in underwear that the dolls are crafted with. I did her eyelashes off camera because it's the first time in ages and I was really nervous. I've never done the lower lashes before, but I am going to show you here how I'm reinforcing them with Elmer's glue, just because they felt quite flimsy. You'll see here one of them wants to pop off, so reinforcing it with glue is quite important if you want to achieve this kind of look. So use more glue than less, and then just scrape the excess off with some tweezers or a toothpick, and that way it won't get in the way of your face up. Time for some piercings, my favorite part. I'm going to be gluing on some of these little triangle studs and some little ball studs as well as using some techniques learnt from Of Crafts and Curios' channel. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. She gives excellent tutorials on how to do easy piercings, because gluing on studs like these is not recommended for some piercings. They fall off a lot easier, so I highly recommend her techniques. As you'll see here, I'm going to bump that little triangle piercing and it's going to pop off, so I had to re-glue that. But yes, I've linked Of Crafts and Curios' piercing video down in the description box below. She's an expert at using all of these pins to look like studs. It's really clever. So thank you again, Of Crafts and Curios. Definitely recommend piercing the holes where you're going to put the piercing with a normal pin first and then putting in your stud pin. It's so much easier, especially since I was trying not to knock off her eyelashes. I probably should have done these first. Some might think it's a little bit OTT with the piercings, but I love the way multiple piercings look on people. They're so cool. And now time to gloss her eyes. I'm using Liquitex High Gloss Varnish, and I do 2 coats, waiting 3 to 4 hours between coats for them to dry. I didn't gloss her lips this time. I think this is the first doll I haven't glossed the lips because I really like the matte lipstick look. And to finish it all off, I'm going to make her a headpiece because since I braided a part of her hair and folded it over the other side, she does have a bit of a bald spot, and Visual Kei quite often uses some really cool, highly decorative headpieces, so I wanted to give that a try. It's something I haven't done before. So I'm taking this tulle and stitching it onto foam. I pre-glued the pins into the foam with super glue so that they won't pop back out. And I could have just glued the tulle, but I always feel that sewing is more secure, so if I have the option of gluing or sewing, I'll almost always sew, except in the case of all of these flowers, which would have been quite a pain to try and sew on. So I'm using fabric glue to stick these on. And you're probably wondering, with this amount of glue, did it take a long time to dry? Yes, it did. It took almost an entire day to dry. And this is our finished Visual Kei doll. I didn't quite have the oomph to make her a custom outfit, so I'm using some Monster High clothes from my stock box. My Visual Kei mermaid's name is Lumi, so I'm wondering if I should call her Lomi. So that is the first video of the year for me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked the video and if you want to see more. And stay tuned for the craft room tour if you're interested in that kind of thing. So this is my new craft room shared with my mum, who likes sewing. So this is my side, my office slash craft area. I use it for writing, work, formatting, and doll customizing. So I've got so much more room than I did before. So this drawer is reserved for pastels. These are the colors that we used for this doll today. My compression gloves and gloves to keep the doll face clean. Essential items like your kneaded eraser and pencil sharpener and Faber-Castell pencils. And it's also where I keep my Pearl-Ex collection. And hair straightener for straightening doll wefts. This is probably my favourite drawer. It's got all of the fun goodies like glitter and cogs, wee little diamantes and flowers, and the little butterflies that I used for the fawn doll. And here I've got pieces that I'm working on and need to finish. They're hiding in there to keep them safe and dust free. My sewing and lace and ribbon collection, which is growing very extensive. And some nice drawers in the wardrobe. So this has the varnish, Mr. Super Clear, and protective tools, and yarn used for making the yarn wigs. I'm quite looking forward to using some of this. I should never have to buy yarn ever again. And we've got some really fun colours in here. And my fabric collection, which is growing to rather crazy heights. I've got everything from cotton, faux fur, brocade, oriental fabric. I really shouldn't ever need to buy more. And these are the dolls I'm working on. Every time I look at them, I hear Kamaji saying, "Finish what you started, human," every time I go to work on a new doll. So it's my goal this year to finish the ones that I've already started and really need to finish. So hopefully you'll see one of those very soon, and it's also convenient having the brushes out of the way. And this is the night view. It's really cute and atmospheric. I love writing in here at night.